we can't hire enough. I've got a vision that's like way bigger than like I can even put on the paper or even like express to people, because I just know where we're going and I know where the industry's going. So we all know the stats. There's 100,000 advisors that are going to retire over the next 10 years. I think I saw a stat, the last 10 years, we've only brought in 8,000 advisors. So there's a huge gap. We're going to have to 10 times the amount of advisors we're bringing in just to maintain the service level. But we all know, we just talked about this, service level is not great right now for all firms. I'm just thinking 10 years ahead. I don't even really care about right now. Like, I mentioned by the end of the year, we'll likely have 60 team members. Like, we don't need 60 team members right now. But how long does it take to train someone? Well, it takes at least 3 to 6 months in our process to get people to the standards that we want. And so we're just trying to hire ahead, and we like to hire people who are younger because they're hungry, they're motivated, and they love the mission that we're on.
Welcome back to another episode of The Advisor Journey. I'm your co-host, Desarte Yarnway, and ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we have a new host, Will Steiner, here with me today. Will, how you feeling?
I feel like I have big shoes to fill, but
you have the biggest shoes
good.
to fill. I mean, they're Jason Wang's shoes. But Jason, thank you for everything you've done for the podcast, right? We know that he's leading the company in the right direction, and I'm so happy to have you here, Will, seriously.
Thanks, really excited to be here.
Yeah, we got a special guest today, Joe Schmitz out of Columbus, Ohio. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well. Excited to be here.
First of all, you are outshining us with the outfit today.
Brought the Midwest charm here, as we talked about.
You brought the Midwest charm. You look great, and I'm sure advisors want to hear everything that you have to say. Before we sort of jump into the details, why don't you just introduce yourself?
Yeah, so like you said, in Columbus, Ohio, we have a firm that specializes in retirement planning, especially serving people we call as Midwestern Millionaires, and we've got clients all across the country, and really focus on just going deep with clients and doing everything all in one place. CPA there, estate planning attorney, and we just got a young and growing team. And so we always say we're probably one of the youngest and fastest growing firms in the entire country, and really just focus on kind of that startup feel of hiring the right people who fit our values and want to make a huge impact in this industry. And we've grown a ton since we started. We've gone from just one person to, by the end of this year, we'll probably have 60 team members. Just a lot of fast growth, but a lot of just people that are just really good at what they do and have big hearts and really selfless. And when you can combine that talent together, big things can happen. So we're excited for it.
Can you tell us a little bit more about like the Midwestern Millionaire? Like, how did you land on that? What does it mean? Mm-hmm. People clearly identify with it.
Yeah, so I actually just wrote a book that came out, and it literally is titled The Midwestern Millionaire. And we serve people, have $1 million or more saved up, so obviously they're going to need more advanced planning. But, more importantly, they have Midwestern values. And so when you think of Midwestern values, you're thinking of hardworking, frugal, right? They're better savers than they are spenders. And they're just diligent savers. They've done really good all of their years of working. They never made millions of dollars a year, but they've made enough to provide for their families. And a lot of them, they tell us, like, they feel like they're living paycheck to paycheck while they're working. And then when they retire, they now have wealth that they're not really sure what to do with. And obviously with that comes more advanced opportunities for planning that we can help them with. But, it's just like that person with good values that just doesn't want to do the right thing. No, from nothing to, I think we're close to 28,000 subscribers at this recording. In less than probably just between a year and 1 to 2 years of getting to that growth. And it's all about pensions, people with $1 million. So we call it the 2% club. So less than 10% of people have over $1 million, and less than 20% of people have a pension. So if you combine those two percentages, Will's kind of trying to figure out the math in his head. But,
struggling.
It's 2%, right? So, we really hit that crowd hard on our YouTube. And it's people who lived a life of service, mostly military, retired military, federal employee, police officers, teachers. And so who doesn't want to serve that crowd? And we just connect with them. I'm from a small rural community just southeast of Columbus. And 500 people in the village, one traffic light, sometimes it works, and a lot of farmland. And so I grew up on a farm, and you're taught the values of looking people in the eye, shaking their hand, getting the job done. And the crowd we serve, that's what they value as well. And so you work with people you like and trust, and I think that's how the niche is really focused and just built from there. They just really value what we bring to the table and what we do from a service level.
I just want to say, like, what I love about Midwestern Millionaire, it is a category. Like, you have created a category here that I had never heard it elsewhere. You know, there's like the Millionaire Next Door and that sort of thing, but it's like, it's something that people can easily just grasp and be like, hey, that's me.
Yeah.
And that makes reaching out to you guys so much easier. Like, I wish we could see a little bit more category creation amongst financial advisors.
Yeah, exactly. And something that's like so important to me too is just my Christian values and principles that, you know, I really started the firm on. You know, one of my credentials is called a CKA. It's a Certified Kingdom Advisor. And so being able to bring that into it too, so many people reach out to us just on that. Hey, we want to work with you guys because I see Joe's a fellow believer and I see, you know, where his heart is. And, you know, that's really where all this comes from. And so, again, just being who you are is going to connect the people you want to work with.
Joe, you got this aura about you. It reminds me of some of my college football coaches. It's like, man, I want to play for this guy, right? And I can see why you have gone from 1 to 60 team members, because that type of energy and that vision goes far, right? You talk about being one of the youngest and fastest growing firms. I want to unbundle that whole thing, all right? So let's talk about how fast you've grown, where you are now, your philosophy to reach that growth.
Yeah, I mean, it's just we always have a concept where we say best, not the biggest. So I know we're talking a lot about growth. We're talking a lot about, you know, numbers. But at the end of the day, for us, like, we don't really care to grow unless we can maintain our standards of excellence. And we do things very particularly. I mean, we nitpick every little thing. We critique every little thing. And our team has really bought into that. And it's just important to us to deliver that level of service. And so we always say, like, we're going to try to keep bringing on more people. I mean, we've got over 40 people every single week on average that reach out to us. Sometimes it's way more, that want to work with us and that are looking to just onboard with us. Like, they're pretty much ready to go from all the content we have. But we're not going to just bring on 40 families every week unless we can give them the service that we're speaking about. And so obviously that's going to limit growth in areas, but we are trying to hire as much as we can. Last year, our hiring stats, we had 2,600 applicants, people to work with us. We only hired 9. And so whenever you have that level of, you know, it's just like we'd love to hire 100 people. I mean, we could start offices all across the country. We could, you know, replicate our marketing in any city, but it wouldn't be done at the standards. And so that's something that's really important to us, is first just being the best. But as we know, you can maintain being the best, you're going to be the biggest, is really what is probably going to happen.
I think sometimes people perceive like a young advisor, or maybe a young advisor perceive themselves at a disadvantage, but it sounds like you have turned this into an advantage for the firm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, we have people reach out to us for that specifically. I mean, and obviously in our marketing message, and we talk about that. That's the big thing, is generational planning, is being there not only for the spouse, right? So a lot of people come to us DIY. I've done it all my life, all these years, but I wanted someone to help my spouse if I pass away. So we lean into that in our marketing messaging, but also they want to see the transition to wealth from them to the next generation. And so we're there to help them. And we actually joke with people. We say, well, we're probably going to be there for your grandkids too. Is that okay with you? And so that's really been our mission. And we're very family-oriented at our firm, just in itself. I mean, my mom actually quit her job to come help me when I first started the firm. And then my buddy from 4th grade joined, and then my buddy from college. And currently we have over 7 people from my college, a small Christian school just outside of Columbus. We have 7 people from that university, and then we have other family members and friends who work with us as well. And so it's a family-oriented crowd, and so we try to deliver that service model to our clients too.
It's like in San Francisco, where we recently opened an office, it's like 1 in 5 people work at Salesforce. In Columbus, it's soon going to be like 1 in 5 people work at peak retirement.
Yeah, and that's really our goal, is to try to just build out our headquarters really, really well, and just have everyone, I mean, we just really value people being there, that collaboration, that connection, and it's fun to build something really big and special with a group of friends.
Did you think about the remote? Like, was remote ever a consideration for you guys? Did you experiment with it?
Yeah, I mean, we've experimented with it. It just doesn't really work well, because you got to feel the culture every day and the excitement, and you know, it's just not the same. Like, when we hire people, our hiring process is so intensive that we make them even come in to shadow for half the day just to experience it. And every single time after someone shadows, they're just like, this place is incredible. Like, we never lose anyone in our hiring process if they come in a shadow. If we want to offer them, they're gonna work with us just because they can feel how special it is.
That's awesome. I want to get hone in on that young part. I think when you're young, you have an advantage, especially as it pertains to marketing, right? Back in the day, seminars, steak dinners, right? That was like one of the primary ways to prospect. Talk to us about your marketing strategy. I saw a book that said, I hate taxes, right? You just talked about the Midwestern Millionaire.
Yeah.
You're crushing it on YouTube from 0 to 28,000 subscribers. What is the advantage you see in being young? And you talked about the messaging, but just talk about that advantage of being young. I feel like we have a lot of listeners on the podcast right now. They're young. They're trying to figure out a way in this industry that's crowded and difficult to succeed in.
Yeah.
But I think that's a strength, and you're exhibiting that strength. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many places I can go here. I'll kind of break it down. So, like, first part of marketing is just being relentless, right? I mean, I did over 150 workshops in the first year that I had the firm. That's 150 nights where I'm just out at a library presenting on taxes or estate planning or whatever. So it's a commitment that you have got to start from the ground floor to build it up, right? And now we've gotten to a place where everything's building off of each other. And so, our messaging, I'll just kind of start there, is very particular. It's pretty, I'll say, like, my personality. So, like, I hate taxes. I hate taxes, right? I mean, I'll pay my fair share, but I'm not going to tip the Uncle Sam. And so just leaning into, like, my personality is something that's helped out a ton. And, a lot of people that watch our YouTube videos, which is a big marketing funnel for us now, and they just say, like, I just feel your heart. I feel that you have a servant's heart. I feel like that you're, have good values, and we want to work with people just like you. So I just really try to lean into that. But the books have been a great piece to the whole mix there. And the I Hate Taxes, Midwestern Millionaire. We have another one on our 5-pillar approach of financial planning for retirement. And then I'm writing a fourth one now called the 2% Club for pension planning. And so, like, that's just what we lean into, everything. And we just try to make it really concise. And so, like, we hired our marketing director. I'll share a story. And, she wanted to, kind of get real creative with the messaging. And I said, nope, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Here's what works. Here's why people work with us. Here's what they want to come to us for. Let's not talk about anything except these 4 things. And then, from there, she's like, oh, my goodness, that makes so much sense. And things have just clicked. So just keeping it simple. And we write for Kiplinger, get featured there twice a month, which is big. And, we do a lot of TV. And people just see us everywhere is what they say. And
First of all, I'm glad that you touched on being relentless. Because people don't know that you got to put in those hours, right? And, they say 10,000 hours before you can become a master of anything. I think it's 10,000 iterations. Yeah. And when you switch it up and you adjust over time, you then become very skilled and knowledgeable about what actually works. And that seems to be the case with the marketing director that you brought on. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And our team's just so good, just so committed. And just, whenever we do a lot of marketing, we do a lot of outreach. And so it takes an army to be able to deliver on that, to make it all connect well together. If you only do one piece of it, it may not connect as well.
So far, it's been like, oh, yeah, step A is decide you want to write a book and do YouTube. Step B, ? Step C, profit. So, like, what is that step B? How did you build the marketing engine that we see today?
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of time and effort and just research, just seeing what other people are doing in the industry and just not mimicking, as we talked about earlier, but finding what works with what they're doing and just mirror it. And that's been the biggest focus. And I just remember, like, Saturday nights watching YouTube content of different advisors and, like, what is working? Why does this video have more views than the other video? Why are they saying things this way versus that way? And just studying the game, being a student of the game, and that's been in every realm of it, and just picking people's brains, right? Just like people watching this or listening to this podcast, just hearing ideas, and you just need one little idea to transform everything. And, I just listen to a lot of content. People think I'm crazy. I listen to, like, podcasts at 2 times speed, and again, I'm not just looking for that nugget.
That is pretty crazy, but I'm just
just looking for that nugget, right? And then just taking all that content and being able to do something with it.
And now you've gotten to the point where it's like you're still doing the seminars. You're not doing them. You've got a team of people who are doing them. You write articles for Kiplinger. You've got a YouTube channel. You've got the books. So it's like you do TV appearances. Yeah. So I think you've said this before, people are either, they're watchers, they're listeners, or they're readers.
Yes.
And you're hitting them at every, you've got an answer for however someone wants to consume the content.
Yeah, no, just try to speak to your audience, right? I mean, and it's crazy that the people we work with, that kind of like 50 to 65 range, I mean, a lot of them are online. They're YouTube. I mean, you'd be surprised at how many are watching YouTube. But a lot of them love reading short articles or a book. So, yeah, just speaking to whatever they want.
It kind of goes against, so much of, another trope for marketing for advisors is like, just do one thing really well. Mm-hmm. You're doing a lot of things, and it seems like you're doing them pretty well.
Yeah.
So how do you,
Yeah, I can talk on that
reconcile?
because I actually don't know if that's great advice, but I know where people are coming from when they say that.
Yeah. Stick
to one message, right? Serve one crowd. Say the same thing over and over again in different ways. And that's all I've done. And, most people may not have the amount of time that I've had to do what I've done. I mean, I'm single, no kids, and so I have a lot of opportunity to just pour into all of this stuff. And that's been my main focus since the start, is just marketing and branding. And so, I'm at an advantage in that world. But, it's just like you can just try. I remember trialing with all these things, but it's not just trialing and saying, well, that doesn't work. No, let's try YouTube for a year before we even saw one person come from it. You got to commit to it. And, I just always had a vision that I was like, this is going to work. Let's do it, and just go all into it.
I suspect there are people who are hearing you say, oh, you're about to write your 4th book. How do you, what goes into writing a book? What does the book do for you guys, or the books rather? Give us a, quick, short masterclass on do you self-publish? What does that actually look like?
Yeah, so I'll actually name drop for the listeners to be able to go to. It's a group that I work with. It's Paperback. I don't know their full name, but we'll put it in the notes or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's just a dad and his son basically run the organization to do excellent work. But I write all my content. I just don't love the ghostwriting concept of writing books. I don't think that's the way it should be done. If you're going to put your name on it, it's got to come from you. And so I write all the content, and then they publish it all. So they edit it, proofread it, put it all in a book, get it on Amazon, all that stuff. And so, I just pay them to do that, and then I do all the writing, which writing my first book took forever. It took a long time, and it was a lot of Saturday mornings just writing and writing and writing. And the next ones I've done, though, have been a lot more simpler, a lot easier. So it's kind of one you just got to grit it out, and once you get it done, you'll be able to write more if you enjoy it. So whatever the cost is, it's very minimal, whatever the benefit we've seen for sure.
So I'm hearing a couple things here. Number one, be authentic in your marketing approach, right? You have to be you. I think one of the mistakes that a lot of advisors are doing is they're trying to replicate other people.
Yeah.
And you can sniff that from a mile away,
That's
right?
so
It's
true.
like, stop trying to be someone else. What works for an Alex Newman, who we're going to have on the show, may not work for me or may not work for you. So I like how you're putting your personality into this, and you're making sure that people like you, and you're going to have people that share the same values in the firm. Yeah,
it's so true. I mean, when I first started the firm, I tried to be like others. They're doing so well. What can I do to get there? Well, now my mindset shifted, and it's kind of a bad place to be for you don't want to go too far into it, but it's almost an arrogance of no, I can know this stuff way better than anyone else. I'm going to do what I think's best. And that was the best advice my dad has given me in the business is stop listening to what other people say and do what's gotten you here, right? Trust your gut. It's lean into that.
Yeah.
Be who you are and be confident and convicted in that. And people are going to want to get behind that when you really have that mission and vision of what it can be.
I felt the Midwest dad in that statement. Stop doing what everybody else is doing and do what got you here. And that's so true. Well, you were going to say something?
I was just going to say that I'm sure you have your fair share of haters, too. YouTube comments section is a breeding ground of trolls, and
Yeah, it's actually most hate, which it's kind of sad, but it's mostly older advisors where we steal clients from them. So when their clients leave them to come to us, they get upset about it, and a lot of it's they talk bad about us, they're a young firm, you don't want to go to them, they're not going to do as good as we are, and it's wait, you're having them pay a full fee, and they're only doing one of the 5 pillars that we do for them. How do you expect that to be okay? And that's what's wrong with our industry, right? And that's one of the 3 whys I have now. The first why when I got into was helping clients and giving them a great experience. Second was hiring great team members and giving them a great place to work and a vision that's bigger than themselves. The third thing now, though, is disrupting the industry, right? I mean, our industry, in retirement planning specifically, it's either investment only in a lot of these big wirehouses, or it's insurance sales.
Yep.
It's only insurance products. They do steak dinners, and all they do is try to sell products. And so it's there's a big gap for what retirees need and want, and there's not enough firms doing that. And so that's really where, I feel there's a place that we can really help.
How do you balance the time on that, though? Because to be the type of advisor that you are and some of the advisors that are here at Altruist, it takes time.
Yeah.
And you have the other advisors that aren't doing that. They argue the case about efficiency. Well, if I don't do all of this stuff, I'm able to serve more clients. If I'm serving more clients, gathering more assets, I'm able to increase my revenue year over year, right? Which makes me a bigger firm to go out higher, do everything that I need to do. You're doing it the right way, but that is time consuming, right? So talk to the advisors on, why it makes sense and what value that brings to you over a long period of time, because I think advisors are having short-term wins and sacrificing the character or, just the relationship with the clients to win in the short term.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with hiring, right? Delegation. I mean, everyone looks like, oh, here's Joe. He's doing all this stuff. Like, he's on this podcast here today. Well, what you don't see is there's, over 30 people back in Columbus working their tail off right now. Mm-hmm. Like, we can't get to where we are if it isn't for a great team. And so that's the first thing is like when my mom joined me, we took a step. When my buddy from 4th grade joined me, we took a step. When the next guy joined, we took a step. And so every single person we've hired, everything's grown. And so, for people to build something really big, you got to get outside of it, right? It can't just be all about you. You've got to have more team. You got to have delegation, and that's where really big things can happen. And so that's what it gets me most excited about this point is just duplicating what I can do, duplicating what I know to other team members, and then other team members duplicating themselves among our firm, and all the values that we started with are just going to grow and grow.
Do you have a process that helps you make these judgment calls of like, hey, when is it time to hire? What's the right role that I should be hiring? Obviously you get 2,600 applicants. Yeah. So
you're like the Harvard of wealth management right now.
Yeah, that's
2,600 just to get 9 people.
We actually had that. Someone say that before. But we just try to get ahead of it. So to answer your question, we've got like 25 job postings up right now. And if we can find 25 people, we'll hire them all. And then if there's 2 great people for every position, we'll hire 50 if we can. And it's just all about maintaining the revenue and making sure we're not putting ourselves in a hole, which is obviously the biggest thing. But like we put all of our revenue back into the firm. Like we just pour back into the growth. And, that's something that's just with me personally, like I just don't really care about, doing all the crazy stuff, right? I want to make sure that this is built. This is my pride and joy right now. And so that's the biggest focus. So we've got a great hiring process to really make sure we hire the right people. I mean, not only do they come in a shadow half the day, like I mentioned earlier, but we make them go through like 6 hours of content on us so they have a good feel. And most people that we hire say this is the greatest interview process I've ever seen because they know what to expect before they get into it. I mean, we tell them we run fast, we work hard. Is that something you want to do? Because it's not a place for everyone.
Do you ever have people roll their eyes like, you know what? That's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to run slow.
They usually don't tell us that. They just don't come to the next interview.
Right.
Or we see it in their eyes, right? And you can tell a lot by just looking someone in the eyes if they want it or not. And it's one of the things we look for in our hiring is like how excited are people? Like if they can't see what we're building, it's not going to be a good fit. Like they've got to see it more than we see it ourselves. So
I interviewed Michael Kittis with Jason Wink sometime last year. So if you listen to the podcast, go back and listen to that episode, right? But on that episode, Michael Kittis was saying that it took 12 people at a firm to do somewhere along the lines of like $3 million in revenue, right? Or less. It was a crazy number. So when you think about your firm right now, how do you make the economics work, right? You want to be sure per head you're maximizing revenue per employee, but you're also hiring ahead. So those 28,000 subscribers, that must give you some sort of consistent flow into the firm that you're almost overwhelmed, and the growth rate allows you to hire because you're seeing that you'll be able to sustain this for the foreseeable future.
Exactly.
So that's my advisor brain, but why don't you break that down for us that gives you those signals, those leading indicators to go ahead and push the hiring button?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a big thing, right? Because you don't want to put yourself in a hole. But like we've had over the last year especially, like we have, and I was just telling Will this, like we've got more revenue than we can pour back into the business, right? We can't hire quick enough, which is an awesome problem to have. And so, we've gotten, so far in Q1, we've brought on 100 clients. And if you bring on 100 clients in Q1, I'd expect that to be only maintained because everything just keeps building and building and building. So that's 400 clients a year. How many firms are bringing on 400 clients a year, and what infrastructure do you need to maintain that?
Yeah.
And we want to bring on more. We have more than 10 people a week reaching out to us, right? So, we've tried to really target, I think on 2025, we've averaged whatever the average is, over 10 people a week that we're bringing on. And so you need a lot of advisors to be able to maintain that flow if we want to maintain our standards. So we have a specific, really trying to target a 50-to-1 advisor to client ratio, or client to advisor ratio. So, that's a big thing of it too, to kind of look at the numbers and everything. But again, I just have a lot of confidence in what we're doing, and it just has never slowed down.
So you're hiring 8 advisors a year plus however many support staff you need. I don't know what those ratios look like, but
Yeah.
the nice thing is, at least with the technology, like those ratios are going to get flipped on their head. Like what historically I think was like a 2-to-1 ratio. Like I suspect the individual support talent that you're bringing on will be able to support more
Yes.
revenue generating headcount.
Yeah, and you know, I've gotten some good business advice that like it takes 3 years to get someone fully trained, right? And especially like, you know, to our standards and messaging and everything, like that doesn't surprise me. So again, that's a lot of what I'm looking at when I'm hiring ahead is like, all right, where are we going to be in 3 years? That's what we need to build for. So, and there's so many opportunities in the industry right now. Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, YouTube was not expected for that to happen for us. Out of nowhere, it came up. Like, what happens when we have a post a Kiplinger article and we have 100 people reach out? Like, I want to have the capacity so we never have to slow down. We can only speed up.
Yeah, they say advisors fail because of digestion, right? Not input or whatever the quote goes, but it's digestion. It's not being able to take all those clients in when that switch happens.
Exactly.
So you're thinking about it the right way. I wanted to ask about your like organizational structure. So to do this, top of the funnel marketing, you got the YouTube, you got the books, you got everything. You're obviously the man in Columbus by the looks of that jacket, right? With that, people come in. What do you use diamond teams, or do you have some type of structure where a support staff is assigned to a group of advisors? How does it work, and how do people get assigned the clients?
Yeah, that's a great question. So all the clients are obviously the firm's clients, so it makes it really easy to be able to all work together on the clients. There's no individualism. Everything's a team approach. So we like to have 2 advisors in every meeting with our clients, again, just going deep with them. And then we always have a specific point of contact for each client, but that could change over time depending on what the client's needs are, depending on the situation. But all of our advisors either have their CFP or are in process to getting it. That's one of our requirements that we have. And so, you know, no matter who our clients sit with, they're going to get a great experience with whatever client's in the room. And we always joke with clients like, hey, when someone comes in the room for the first time, you don't need to tell them your whole situation. And don't get creeped out when they tell you about your, you know, they know your dog's name and your kid's name. Like, don't get creeped out. We just take really good notes. We communicate internally about all of our clients. And so, you know, that allows us to just really be nimble there and making sure the right people are, because like also it's personalities, right?
Yeah.
Like if clients would mesh better with this advisor than that advisor, then we want to make sure we're cognizant of that.
But who does that intake, right? Because there has to be a sourcing to be like, hey, this person he played at OU, Ohio State University. Why don't we match them with Desarte because they have that athletic background?
Exactly.
So does it go through some sort of intake process just to give advisors a feel for things that they can implement in their business?
Absolutely.
So there's a middle part right there, right? That is important as well.
Yeah, so we have an advisor, you know, a couple advisors right now that just kind of meet with all the prospects.
Okay.
And then from there, you know, are they a good fit? You know, because we turn people away if they're not going to mesh well with us. Like, we're not going to bring on a problem child to our team. I mean, our team works way too hard. We value them too much to give them a big problem. So we kind of have a vetting out process. So first thing, people go to our website, they schedule a time, they enter in like 7-question questionnaire. There's a video of me talking about our high expectations of how we serve people. We just really try to push people away. Like, we don't want people to hop on our calendar unless they're ready to move forward. And so by the time they get to us there, we know quite a bit about them. And then it's just getting to know them and setting the expectations further and just making sure everything gels. And then from there, we set them up with an advisor team to serve them. And again, usually try to have 2 in each meeting. But, you know, all of our advisors are working together. There's not any sense of diamond teams or anything like that. We want to be very nimble to best fit it.
Let me ask you a question about lessons. I don't say losses ever, right? But along the way, because I've built a business, right, and done the whole thing, you learn a lot, right? And it all, like you said, it doesn't work all the time. And I think a lot of advisors get discouraged, right? Like, I tried this, it didn't stick to the wall. I'm going to try this now, right? They haven't stuck around long enough to learn the lesson, right? They tried something, dismissed it early, and some people might argue that you should fail fast, but I don't think fast is like a year, in my opinion, right? Doing something long enough for a year. So if you could go back to the beginning, right? Think about that. I don't know when the beginning was for you, but go back to the beginning and think about some of the most impactful lessons that you had. What are those 1-2 lessons that you were like, hey, I learned that this was right for me? And I think you already mentioned some, but I'll let you go ahead and.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, I think just seeing the success of other team members was a big like aha moment for me. I was like, oh wait, they can actually do it better than I can if I just get out of the way, and we can grow more and we can help more people if I just get out of the way. And I think that was just kind of an aha moment. It's just like letting them fail early on, kind of stay on that topic, and know that like for someone to get there, it's not going to be sunshine and rainbows, but also like just growing leaders was probably the biggest thing that I've realized lately is like, I've been unbelievable. When I started the firm, I would have never thought we need as many leaders as we do now, because that's the most important thing, right? It's just people setting the tone and building off, like, here's what we were founded to do. Let's have an army of people who are going to duplicate that. And so that's been my biggest focus now, not only on the content and all the marketing, is just growing leaders. You know, what if we have like we hired a director of ops, and when hiring him, the first 2 weeks, we spent every second together. And at the end of that time, he's like, this was literally a leadership masterclass.
Yeah.
Because I took everything I've ever learned about leadership, and not to say that I know everything and I'm perfect, obviously, but I just poured into him. I took the time and energy because I knew how important that was. That 2 weeks was so valuable long term, right? That just spending those 2 weeks with him probably saved him probably a year of just mistakes or just, you know, doing the wrong thing, because now he's on the right direction. It's the whole concept of a boat, you know, going 1% off direction.
Yeah.
You're ending up in a different continent. So that's kind of the focus that we've just tried to maintain, is like, when you train someone, when you hire someone, making sure we really stick to the foundation and not letting things slide. And here's the expectations. Don't let them veer from that.
You know, Jason Wank once sat in this very seat, and he had a similar thought. And he was like, you know, at this stage at Altruist Run and, you know, our growth, one of the best things that I can do is hire the smartest people and get out of their way.
Yeah.
Right? Because they can attack a problem, they can attack a situation better than I can. And that really stuck with me, because I'm like, you know, especially as an entrepreneur, you have a vision, it's like your thing.
Yeah.
It gets legs, it starts running, it starts crawling, right? It's moving fast, and you're like, I don't really know how to tame this thing. I don't know how to keep it in the lanes. You get the people, you give them everything you know, and you get out the way, right? And I see that same sort of characteristic that you have. So for the advisors listening, it sounds like delegating, but just building a culture of like a mission-forward culture is important when you're building your firm.
Yeah, we have 3 foundations we hire from and we hold accountable for our team, and they're pretty funny, but they're so true. And one's A+ player, foxhole, and rocket ship.
Let's go.
A+ player is someone who obviously just gets things done. They're one step ahead. You know who they are when you think of A+ players that you work with. It's the people you just want to have there and you want to work with, because you just know you don't have to worry about it. If you give them something, it's getting done. So that's extremely important, that we hire really high caliber people. The other is foxhole, and it's a military term of, you know, I want to go to war with that person. And again, like our team is the most selfless people in the world. And like, we hire so many selfless people that it actually makes me want to be more selfless. Like, you can't be selfish in our culture, or you'll just stick out like a sore thumb. And so when you have build a team of those types of people, that's the culture, right? It's a cult. You know, everyone hates the word cult, but that's truly what it is. And so we've got a lot of people that just will do anything. They'll drop anything to do whatever it takes for the team. And then the third one there is rocket ship. We want an entrepreneur mindset. We want people with that startup feel, that want to grind, that want to work hard, that want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And again, when we have thousands of team members, when we're serving hundreds of thousands of clients, like, that's the type of person I want to look at and say, man, look what we've done.
Yeah, it's amazing to have that sort of like, hey, what's the connective tissue here? And it's not dissimilar to what is the core 3 values at Altruist, which are kindness, brilliance, and grit.
Exactly.
I think as you get bigger, you know, you can't be spending 2 weeks with every new hire necessarily. You know, maybe there's going to be a period of time where that's totally feasible and that'll be amazing. But at a certain point, it's like you have to trust the foundation that you've created here with the leaders that are just that one level below you to carry forward.
Yeah, and that's a huge point. That's like, again, growing leaders, because you've got to duplicate yourself. And I know that spending that time with someone, they're going to be able to duplicate that ongoing. But I actually I love being in the trenches with my team, right? So I try not to be in the everyday, because that just gets in the way. It's a bottleneck, right? I need to be more visionary. I need to be more leadership.
You're a bottleneck.
Yeah, so I was, you know, if I'm in the everyday, but something I love is just being in on team meetings every Monday. So for half of our day, we just have team meetings, and I love being there. I just had someone shadow the other day. He goes, I love that you're the CEO, but you're still involved so aggressively in everything that's done here and the standards that are held here. And they always say when the CEO is the hardest worker, that's when good things happen within the firm and within business. And so that's something that I really just try to hold to is, you know, if I'm going to tell someone else to do it, I'm going to give everything I've got as well.
Let's go. I want to play for your team, man. Let's sign a contract.
It's like expect what you inspect.
Yeah.
Right.
And
it's beautiful.
Yeah. And what's, you can't, it's not what's taught, it's what's caught, right?
Yep.
So you can say whatever you want, but if you're not going to be able to do it, it's not gonna work.
Should we just pull out all the sayings and just put that on loop? Yeah. That's the podcast. But I wanted to ask you one question before we wrap here. What are you excited about? I know you're excited about, you're looking 10 years out, you're growing the team. What excites you? What keeps you up at doing this day in and day out? A lot of advisors are thinking about AI and just the way that the industry is changing and how much opportunity will come from that. What excites Joe about his firm in this industry?
Yeah, the thing that excites me most at this point is our team. It's providing an opportunity for them that they likely won't find elsewhere with the amount of growth that they're going to have, the amount of compensation they're going to be able to receive, but also just the impact and purpose and fulfillment that they can have through it. That's really what excites me the most, because I know that, when we bring on the 10 clients a week, I know that that's a direct impact. Not only those 10 clients, I mean, that's incredible. Let's not lose focus of that. That's a direct impact to our team's growth and career. Yeah. And when you see people work as hard as they do, it makes it a lot of fun.
Joe, thanks so much for flying out to LA, joining us in the studio, having a great conversation, having a tasty lunch before this. Thanks to the listeners for tuning in. You'll continue to hear from us. We've got some great guests slated to come in over the next couple of months. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, everywhere you listen to podcasts. I think that's a wrap.
That's a wrap, Joe. You're the man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to The Advisor Journey by Altruist. Brokerage-related products and services are provided by Altruist Financial LLC, a member of FINRA/SIPC. Results may vary. Altruist and its affiliates do not provide tax or legal advice.